Yo, what's up, guys? Another buff unit. Recently, a lot of the videos been talking about buff units, but actually a buff unit that had one of those really lame, awkward buffs, or not even awkward, but just really lame buffs, like 8% extra damage. All of the meddling cookies have 8% extra damage on this skill 1. So, might you ask, where do you use them? Well, there's actually two places where I always use them, and they're really good at it, which is just simply monster subjugation. So the team that I'm always using is just a whatever Roswell that I have ruined. Whatever runes mostly Fatal Blade on 3 of them cookies. Because Fatal Blade is definitely what I have left over due to farming a shit ton of giants. And then also whatever I use for like Necro Rogue. This team will always easily clear it. And this is by far the best subjugation team that you can find. Plus, you can also use this team for the time attack in Labyrinth. I have a pre-recorded one. I will use that for the video. And most of the time, the time attack on the Labyrinth gets towards like 18 or 19. If you're fighting some of the weaker stages, such as the Harpies, you can clear it from time to time with exactly a team like this. Well, I don't go fully on a team like this normally because I do also tend to use a Teshar in there. But I'll showcase the one where I do use Teshar. So, of course, in the Wave of Fire, you're not using Teshar. But as you guys can see, it's super easy to clear. If you really want to optimize this team, I would say triple fight on the Grasveld, triple fight on the Rogue, and then just these units on whatever damage sets you can find. If they're not fully on crit rate, it's totally fine. They always AoE. Yeah, their AI is actually super weird, where the moment they go to lower HP, they start using their S2 again, which doesn't make any sense because their S2 is nothing provided towards like survivability. The thing is, they first do their S2 and their S2 amplifies that their skill 1 is always AoE. And it's just those 3 that have it. The dark one doesn't have that, the wind one doesn't have that, but they will always AoE. And because they're always AoEing, you're especially on team ups just doing shit tons of damage. If you're looking at just doing one first, do fire first because fire has the best passive. Because fire, as you can see, has double hit. And the double hit, of course, is way better than the single hit because, haha, double. But yeah, this one has a silence in there. And to be honest, water, I don't even know what it does. It's the weakest one out there. But as you can see, 17 seconds left. These things don't even have crazy good stats. I don't have Fudge, unless he was HOH. I'm pretty sure Fudge was HOH. So in this one, fire is the hardest one because you cannot use the Teshar in there. But this one, you actually will go for Teshar and then you use the light and you use the fire one. And then it's just super simple. Shouldn't you slap Shina for defense break? You don't really care about defense break. The moment you start needing defense break, you're already that far in that it doesn't really matter anymore. Also for attack buffer, I can definitely highly recommend Grasveld. He's by far the best because of attack buff and speed buff. But as you can see, every AoE hit, every team up is pretty much just clear of wave. Don't you need skill ups? I highly recommend skill ups because they have a lot of damage multipliers on their skill ups. But to be honest, if you're playing for a while, you probably have these units done and settled already. And especially since I think a good bit of people are also still using, especially the water homunculus for this content. Make your homunculus wind, use that in your freaking giants team, and start doing with this. And that's one of those like weird buffs, like 8% damage extra. What does it really help? Well, it actually helps a lot with these stages. So we're 1 minute left, and we're already at 16. That's how fast this goes. Also, if you're looking like, okay, who should have the highest stats? Definitely go for the fire one. Fire one by far does more damage than any of the others. But yeah, this is just a weak-ass random Teshar on leftover runes. It's not in any PvE things as well. And then just, as mentioned, like I showcased the runes over there. It's nothing crazy runes. And someone did mention defense break, but you cannot really defense break every wave you do. So with 35 seconds on the clock, we're at the final boss. This team is by all means not the strongest to clear final boss. It always does struggle with this wave a little bit because it's way too AoE focused rather than single target boss focused. But then again, you have 19 waves and one wave where you do a little bit worse. That's kind of the thing as well. So yeah, with that, it's just very simple to do. Can you showcase a team for Fire Rift R5, like the Fire Raid R5? Just straight up the normal R5 team you use. That's about it. So that one is for that. And then we go into this, which of course Fire is the worst one. And then we go back to using these. So that's why I do recommend to have all 3. You use all 3 in Fire. You use 2 plus a Teshar in the other 2. And then you don't use the wrong element. Yes, you still use Rogue in this one because Rogue is just for the team-ups early on. That's just the main thing. And Tesha just kind of blasts through all of this shits anyways. But that's also the thing. Rogue will always team up with 2. The odds of picking at least one of the 2 in early waves is very high. So with that, it makes it very simple. Like Rogue teams up with 1 and then clears the rest of the wave. Super simple. Also, mechanic you probably do know or haven't noticed that much yet. If you clear the wave, you keep the buffs you had at that turn when you started your turn. So if I were to clear the wave, let's say the Tesha moves right now, I clear the whole wave. Oh, I don't. Well, this one cleared the wave, still had 2 buffs. So that's kind of the thing with like how it works with keeping buffs when you just cleared something. Why does it work like that? I have no freaking clue, to be honest. That's just one of those random mechanics in Summoner's War that's like, yeah, that's there. Why is it there? It's there. Something like that. It's really not that special. Still in early runes, doing Necron Giants. Any specific element you should do for R5, or just go for all rune types? Now, if you're like super early game, you definitely want to just go all over R5 because you don't really want to focus on just anything specific yet. Just normal R5 will do very good for you. Is Ikaru over Rogue a good idea? No, and the main reason is, sure, Ikaru teams up with multiple units, but the team up of Rogue is way more often available. And the availability of the team up is more interesting than teaming up with more units. Sure, technically he's better for this final boss because Rogue landing a defense break over here is a little bit more difficult, but then again, Rogue can go for a little bit of chomp, 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 and then there's still 60 seconds left on the clock, and you beat this easily. So, once again, as mentioned, I do this for a very long time already, even without the 8% damage up. Also, for artifacts, you just go like crit damage is more and crit damage 1. Definitely crit damage 1, because all of the damage comes from the skill 1. It never comes from the skill 2. Skill 2 is just to amplify the skill 1. That's the only thing you do. This one, what passive did you have? Recover the HP. This one is completely useless. So it's definitely the best one is fire. Then it's because the only thing that changes is the passive. So here we have all 3. Best one is fire because of these double hits. If you're above 70, but you're always going to be above 70. This one is the weakest because the passive doesn't do anything. And this one is just the silence, which doesn't really add that much as well, but it adds a little bit. So those are the 3 that I definitely do recommend you to use. And then also for the time attack, which I cannot do right now because all time attacks are already done, but I have one recorded where I use them, and I'll just showcase it from there later on. As mentioned, also showcasing this in the labyrinth in the time attack. So the time attack, we have 3 minutes to kill the whole wave. There's 2 things that you want to do during the time attack. One, you want to, of course, be above 16 because that's where you get the hell rewards. And as you can see over here, getting to 16 is fairly easily because, or very easy because you're just one-shotting everything. Second thing you do is you don't want to waste too much time, so the moment you hit your 16, you kind of want to die off fast. And this team does both. The moment you get to high ranks fast, they start dealing a lot more damage. And then you most of the time around like 17, 18, you die off pretty darn fast. This team is actually able to clear 20, and this is a pre-recorded, so I already know how this one pans out. This one is getting pretty close to actually clearing all of it. Main thing that can go wrong-ish is that the Teshar has to land some stuns towards the end, so if he doesn't have skills available, or just simply doesn't stun, then it's kind of bad. So it's not a full-on perfect run, you're always going to get 20, but in the end, getting 20 is nothing else than making a screenshot bragging right, you cleared 20, because it means absolutely nothing, which, to be honest, is kind of weird. So we're already at the 16 mark. We have 155 on the clock left. This is arguably the easiest version, though, because if you're fighting against the Harpies, they have very low base defense. But even wave 18, you see like how fast we just blast through all of these things. So in this case, 19 is kind of where you see a lot more resistance and stuff. This is where they, for some reason, have a good bit of resistance. This is also where you will see that if one of the 2, or if any of the Coco Knights does get hit, they start dealing their S2 for no stupid reason. They have a weird AI that they only use S2 the moment that they're at low HP. So in this case, if I got stunned on everything and it actually was resisted on both the fire units and it was resisted on one of the 2 Prilias, and that's where they start doing like the stupid skills and that kind of stuff. Tesha didn't make a full kill, so didn't have the skill back over there. If we had all of that, we would have definitely cleared that. But it just simply shows of how well this does and how fast it goes. And you have like 85 seconds on the clock left. but you already cleared it. So that's just a simple fact of how easy it is with this team. Didn't switch any runes, didn't give them any special runes. It's just a Fatal Blade, whatever on all of them. The Tesha is not on a particular build that I use in PvE because I have my dragons ruined, and then my Tesha just gets on whatever leftover runes with some crit damage and stuff. So it's really easy to rune, very easy to make, and highly recommended to use something like this. And yeah, that's where some of those weird buffs is like, plus 8 extra % damage. Why the fuck do I do it? Well, it was kind of for this, and it makes things a little bit easier. So I once again do really recommend to use this. Some people did ask before, should you give skill ups? Yeah, they have some damage increment in the skill ups. But then again, if you're playing long enough, you probably have those skill ups. Plus, there's currently an event going. If you don't know where to place your 4-star skill ups, might be one of those units. Like, why not? Especially on the fire. Fire is definitely the best. So best one to do first is fire, then light, then water. Guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. Still want to hit that 100k. And see you as always in the next one. In the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.